We're counting down the top 20 Celtic bands and musicians of 2021 in this first episode of the year. Learn about Bright Side of Everything, the first official single from Marc Gunn's 24th studio album. It's all on Pub Songs and Stories, number 247. Welcome to Pub Songs and Stories. This is the virtual public house for musicians to share the stories and inspiration behind their music with your host, Marc Gunn. Subscribe to the podcast at pubsong.com. Welcome to Pub Songs and Stories. I hope you're doing wonderful today. I have a great show that I'm going to share with you. But first, I want to let you know that today's show is brought to you by my Gunn Runners on Patreon. Carrie Sargent, Richard Haywood, they're two of my newest patrons, and you'll get at least one new recording every month when you sign up on Patreon in 2022. That could be a brand new studio recording, a rough cut, a live performance, or even a new version of a classic song that I perform. So go sign up and you can help support my music and keep me creating new music in the new year. Speaking of new music, I have a brand new CD coming out in February. On February 14th, in fact, is the official release date. Selcouth is the name of the album. Selcouth means when everything is strange and different, yet you find it marvelous anyway. And it is a beautiful album. It has a lot of great songs. There's actually a brand new single that is now streaming, which is called Bright Side of Everything. It is the first track on the album, and you can listen to that everywhere right now. And I'll also, at the end of the show, you'll be able to hear it, as well as my story about Bright Side of Everything, as I tell you how it evolved, where the song came from. Because that's what this show is all about, right? Is to tell you stories about the music that I create and that other Celtic musicians and musicians create. So you'll hear that later on in the show. But first, I want to let you know that a few things that are happening in the coming year. There's a lot of big plans that I have been working on. In fact, I sat down and did a year in review over on Celtfather Unkilted. That's another podcast I have at celtfather.com. And I talked about what happened last year, and I let loose a few little plans for the coming year, but I don't know if I broke it really down. I have a lot of shows already scheduled for the new year. I'm finally in control of my booking. And so I have a lot of local shows here in the Atlanta area, and I'm really, really excited about that. There's a bunch of breweries, some farmers markets that I'm doing. I'm still working on booking some conventions, which probably will be more out of town than in town, but maybe, because there's a whole bunch of conventions here in Atlanta as well. So stay tuned for all that. I'm gonna keep you informed. One of the big shows that I'm looking forward to is I'm putting together a Celtic mini festival for St. Patrick's Day at Ironshield Brewing in Lawrenceville, just north of Atlanta, northeast of Atlanta, and it's going to be happening on March 12th. So if you're able to come join that, I would love to see you out there. But I got to make some time because I might see if I can get Inara dancing in the St. Patrick's Day Parade for Atlanta. If that doesn't happen, maybe I'll have her up in Lawrenceville as well, though I hope she'll be at both. But I really want her to get a little more involved with her Irish dancing. She's been doing it for the past year, and she's so good at it. I'm so proud of her. So stay tuned for that. The last thing I want to let you know is that the Celtic invasion of Scotland is happening, and I'm telling you this knowing that it's already booked up and you can't really do anything about it, but I'm excited because I know the Omicron variant the numbers are high, but looking at the predictions and such, I'm still hopeful that by June, everything will be smooth and happening, and we will be staying in a Scotland just off the banks of Loch Lomond, on the other side of the hill or mountain or whatever it is. I'll find out when I get there, I think. But we're staying at this wonderful castle, and it's going to be fantastic. So I'm going with my family, and then we're going to go, my family and I are going to, afterwards, we're going to go to visit relatives, my nephew in Germany, and then to visit my mom in Italy. So we're going to make a big trip of it, and my whole family will be joining me for a change, which is really exciting as well. So stay tuned for all of that. I hope to have lots of blogs and podcasts that will be coming out, especially once we get closer to the day. So stay tuned for that. What are you doing while listening to Pub Songs and Stories? I'd love your thoughts and feedback. So take a picture of yourself or where you are or what one of these stories reminds you of, and you can post it on social media. Use the hashtag pubstories so I can find it and share your story. And of course, if there's a song you'd like to hear more about, drop me a line. I say that knowing that I have already planned the entire spring season as far as what songs I'm going to be talking about. But I haven't done anything yet for the fall, though I have another album that is already in the works after Selcouth. So I'm already looking at a Kickstarter probably in April or May. So, I'd still love your thoughts and feedback, so drop me a line. What song would you like to hear more about? And maybe I can make that happen. Upcoming shows. January 19th, I am doing Coffee with the Celtfather live at Ironshield Brewing in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I have a meeting at noon, so I thought, hey, can I do a coffee show at your brewery? And I say it's going to more be coffee and beer because I'm going to be drinking beer. But if you'd like to come drink a beer with me and hear some music, then come join me, or you can just watch it live streaming online. And speaking of live streaming, January 20th, that's a Thursday, I'm doing a Celtfather live stream on Bandcamp. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tickets are $8. You can buy them in my store. And then January 28th is High Card Brewery in Tucker, Georgia. That's from 6 to 9 p.m. Today, we're going to count down the top 20 Celtic bands of 2021. I also host the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, and I like to compile my best of the year lists. It started with the Celtic Top 20, and those were the 20 most popular songs and tunes on the podcast as voted on by listeners. Well, at least that's the way it's been until this year. In 2022, I'm shaking it up. And the voting results will now be determined by patrons of the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. And if you want to listen to show number 538, that features the Celtic Top 20 of 2021. Some of the artists on this show are included in that list. Today, I'm also sharing the top 20 Celtic bands and musicians of 2021. And these are my picks, not just my picks, but my organic picks. Every week, I pick some songs, and I frequently find myself favoring the music of this band or that one. And these are the ones that I played the most in 2021. And if you listen to the music, you'll understand why. So we're going to do a countdown. I'm going to intermix it with some music from some of the bands that are on this list. But first, here's Brad Reid with Trip to Peggy's Cove from New Scotland. right, now on to the Celtic Top 20. At number 20, we have the Aerialists. Number 19 is Scythian. At number 18 is Tua de Danann. They were on show number 222 of Pub Songs and Stories. Bruno shares the story about how he picked Johnny Jump Up as a folk song and turned it into a Celtic metal song. And I'm particularly fond of it because I got to sing on it as well. I was very happy when that song also made it to the Celtic Top 20 Songs and Tunes of 2021. Number 17, Muireann Nic Owley. She was on show number 240 with a story about the fairy forts of Ireland. Number 16 is The Dark-Eyed Musician. And at number 15, Duncan McLaughlin. I did a blog feature of him last week, and he will be on the show next week. At number 14, Liesel Wilson. Number 13, Bang on the Ear. Number 12, Niamh Parsons and Graham Dunne. Number 11, Sue Spencer. And at number 10, Matt and Shannon Heaton. Here's some more music from someone in the top 10 list of Celtic artists in 2021. It's Amelia Hogan with Fiddler of Dooney from her album Transplants, From the Old to the New.
When I play on my fiddle in Dooney, folk dance like a wave of the sea. My cousin is priest in Killarney, my brother in Moharabui. When I pass my brother and cousin, they read in their books of prayer, but I read from my book of songs I bought at the Sligo Fair. When we come at the end of time to Peter sitting in state, he will smile on the three old spirits, but welcome me first through the gate. For the good are always the merry, save but for an evil chance, and the merry love the fiddle, and the merry love to dance. When I play on my fiddle and Dooney, folk dance like a wave of the sea. My cousin is priest in Killarney, my brother in Moharabui. And when the folk there spy me, they'll all come up to me, saying, here is the fiddler of Dooney, and dance like a wave of the sea. When we come at the end of time to Peter sitting in state, he will smile on a three old spirits, but welcome me first through the gate. For the good are always the merry, save but for an evil chance, and the merry love the fiddle, and the merry love to dance.
Amelia Hogan was definitely one of my favorite new musicians to the podcast this past year. Her voice is just spectacular. It just really touched me. And I'm really excited. She has a new album that she's working on, and it's been on hold for a long while. It was originally called Dispossessed, but I read on her blog or on Facebook that she was changing the name because it seemed a little bit dark after a couple of years of a pandemic. And so I'm excited to share more music from her in the year to come. At number 9, we have Gaelynn Lee. Number 8, The Munster Men. Number 7, Willowgreen. Number 6, Emma Langford. And at number 5, Brad Reid. And of course, Brad Reid started the music of this show. That leaves 4 tracks left. So in the meantime, I want to remind you to support what you love. The musicians on this podcast are happy to share their music freely with you. You can find their music on streaming music sites, but streaming is just a way to sample the music. If you hear something you love, these artists need your support. Please visit their websites, sign up to their mailing list, and buy something. You could buy digital downloads, a shirt, a sticker, a pen, a songbook, jewelry, or even the classic physical CD. Yeah, they will come back in vogue one day, so I'm confident of that. If you ever looked at the vinyl market right now, oh my gosh, it's apparently outperforming all other markets right now. But your purchase allows all of us to keep making music. And if you're not into the physical stuff, many of the artists accept tips or are on Patreon. So please support the arts. Now, if this show made you happy, you can join the Gunn Runners Club on Patreon. Your support pays for the production and promotion of my music and this podcast. And if you have questions or comments, please drop me an email. Sing at pubsong.net. Of course, you can save 15% with an annual membership. All right, next up is the Gothard sisters. They are in the top 5. Where are they on the list? Meantime, this is Dragonfly from their brand new album, Dragonfly. I'm really excited about this because, well, for one, I've been following the Gothard sisters for many, many years. They got on the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast years ago, like one of the first 2 years, and it's been wonderful seeing them blossom and grow from 3 teenage girls playing fiddle to what you're about to hear. They're just amazing. This track, Dragonfly, has become a family favorite too, so it's a big part of our playlist as well. All right, here's the Gothard sisters with Dragonfly.
Zigzag the rushing river, soar above the line. Maybe I'll get closer or get lost again.
All right, before we get to count down the last 4 tracks, I'm going to tell you the story of Bright Side of Everything. Bright Side of Everything is a song that I wrote right before the pandemic, but it turned out to be very timely. It was actually put out in March of 2020. The song was inspired by an episode of Firefly called The Message. And if you haven't seen it, Simon and Kaylee, 2 of the characters, the doctor and the ship's mechanic, they're looking at a dead cow fetus. And they were told that it was an alien by this P.T. Barnum style person, and who said, "Oh, come and give me your money and you can see a real live alien. They truly exist." And Simon laments, though, that they wasted their money because, it's a dead cow fetus. And Kaylee finds something happy about the moment. To which Simon says, "You managed to find the bright side of every single thing. So I wanted to write a song for Kaylee and for those people who find happiness in every little thing. And it's a story about love. The main character runs into constant walls, but the other person finds the bright side of everything. Now, when I'm writing songs, I frequently start with something that inspires me, and we make notes of phrases and things that stand out from the show when I'm working from a certain episode. The Mona Lisa was one of the ones that came up. Malcolm Reynolds and Inara are talking about trying to fence the Lassiter, a stolen laser gun, one of the first laser guns ever created. And Inara says to Malcolm, it's like trying to fence the Mona Lisa. And Malcolm says, the what? Which, cracks me up. The most famous painting in the world. And perhaps by the time Firefly happens, it might not exist anymore, or people might not know what it is anymore. But the verse goes, the Mona Lisa never learned to smile. You came along and made her sing. She's not posing anymore. She's dancing. You see the bright side of everything. And I love this idea. I mean, just imagine for a moment, Leonardo da Vinci is painting the Mona Lisa and the woman's posing there with that smile, that famous smile. But because of this person that you're with, this wonderful person that finds so much happiness, she brings out the smile, not just the smile, but, just imagine the Mona Lisa standing up there and dancing afterwards. It just cracks me up thinking about it. It's just got so much joy in the whole idea of finding the bright side. And then a romantic walk along the sandy shore. The sky opens and it starts raining. You jump in puddles. We both start laughing. You see the bright side of everything. And I love this idea. I love taking a walk, with my own wife on a sandy shores or wherever, because we love the ocean. And sometimes it does rain. One of the things that I love about my wife is that she doesn't always follow what other people would do. When it starts raining during the summer and it's a gorgeous rain, my wife has sent the kids out and said, yeah, go jump in the puddles outside. And it cracks me up. I'm like, because I wasn't raised that way. I was raised that you do not jump in the puddles. You do not get your clothes all muddy and wet. You might get cold or sick and such, but she's like, live it up. And how true is that? I mean, it's just clothes. They can always be washed. It might be filthy, but kids can have a bath afterwards. We can make a mess and it's okay. Just celebrate the moment. And that's truly seeing the bright side of everything. So the chorus goes into someplace better, someplace warm, someplace alone, just you and me. We can laugh at life's uncertainty while it's happening and the bright side of everything. And when I started writing this song, I had a whole bunch of ideas. I had 4 or 6 verses. I might still have those saved somewhere in Evernote, but I'm not sure. But I had written a whole bunch of verses and I was trying things out and doing my best to massage it into place. And I played what I had for Gwen, and she loved the song, but she loved the melody and the rhythm and all the sound of it, but it was missing something. And she immediately was like, I want to help, so this song at that point, it started taking a new direction, and she's really good at helping to find words that go with things and ideas. So the next verse, though, while it's still mine, it was a verse that I had a different verse planned, and then this one came out because she said, no, don't do that. And I came up with this. Though gravity may make us fall, our stomachs feel like they're turning. You say falling is a lot like flying. You see the bright side of everything. And this one I love because it is a callback to Firefly. Tracy and Kaylee are hanging out in her bunk waiting for this bombing that's happening to subside. And he says, sometimes the twists and turns kind of make my stomach feel a little bit queasy or something on that lines. And she again finds the bright side of that. Yeah, it can be like that at times when the gravity on the ship is messing up. So it has that nice callback, but of course it is also can work as anything else in the world, Well, I had a moment years ago. The falling is a lot like flying. One of the things it reminds me of is I went to the Grand Canyon once, and it was back in 95, 96, 97, somewhere in 96, I think it was. And I went to the Grand Canyon, and never in my life, and still to this day, have I wanted to jump off a cliff. But there I wanted to jump off a cliff. I was like, just seeing something about the Grand Canyon. It was so gorgeous. And this long way down, you could fall for a number of seconds before you splatted. And you don't think about the splatting. You just think about how amazing it would be to jump off that cliff. But obviously I didn't, thank God. But that's a line that falling is a lot like flying. And that's kind of how I felt at that moment. Now, the next verse my wife helped me create, most of it was hers. Night is falling, it is getting dark. You hold my hand like you hold my heart. Inside of me, I feel torn apart, but you see the bright side of everything. Now, I was a little concerned initially because when I was originally writing the song, again, it was totally for Kaylee. This line starts taking a little bit of a different turn. It's a little bit darker. Again, night is falling, it is getting dark. You hold my hand like you hold my heart. Inside of me, I feel torn apart, but you feel the bright side of it. Something's happening in this moment to the characters that are not necessarily Simon and Kaylee. This is the moment when it comes away from there and it becomes a song of its own that's unique and beautiful, but even more depth, because there is a darkness that comes with it. I feel torn up. I'm torn up inside, but you see the bright side of everything and it makes me happy. And that's just really cool to think about. Now, I was trying to come up with an idea that how to do the, should there be like a bridge part or should there be something different? And lyrically, nothing worked when I was working with trying to put this song together. I had this great, upbeat, poppy little melody and rhythm going with it. Screeched In, who helped record on this CD, I'll talk about them in a moment. They were like, is this sort of 50s things you want? I'm like, no, definitely not. But and so they changed it up. But it had this very solid progression. Then all of a sudden, I changed the key. I changed it into a minor key. And it gets a little bit darker because now something else is happening. And the final verse goes, now you're gone and it's hard to breathe. I think of you as you used to be. If you were here, then you'd say to me, sweet baby, please see the bright side of everything. And I love this verse. So this is one that again, Gwen and I worked on and she came up with it. And it was a lot darker, I think, originally. It was definitely about death. But then this one adds an era of possibly of hope, a lot of hope again, because now you're gone. What does gone mean? Could it be, is it death? Is it gone away, left? Is it gone for the moment? And that feeling of, just missing someone and thinking about how they were. But then remembering that if you were here, you'd say to me, sweet baby, please see the bright side of everything. And again, the music has gone minor at this point, and it goes throughout, finishes up into the minor, but it all resolves at a nice major C chord, which I love because it again adds that degree of happiness, of finding the bright side, even after all those minor chords. Now, of course, the single was recorded by not only me, but by Screeched In. They are a Celtic rock band out of Canada, and I hope to have them on the podcast very soon, probably in a couple of weeks after the next show, I think. I was hoping to have them for the next one, but time-wise, it's just not happening, unfortunately. But they were fantastic. I dropped them an email and said, hey, would you like to record on the CD? And they jumped at it. They've been on the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast for a number of years. And again, I love their music. And they were all in quarantine because at the time, Canada was quarantining for COVID, and they had a little bit of trouble getting all the recordings, but when they finally got it, it sounded wonderful. Again, originally they were thinking about doing this 50s style sound, which is not what I wanted. I wanted something that was more contemporary, and they totally nailed it with what they did. And Mitchell Peterson, who mixed and mastered the recording, he gave it an even cooler edge, a much more alternative sounding edge to me, which is one of the things I love about the recording. They Screeched In sent a version too, but again, the mix was not quite what I wanted. Whereas Mitchell was able to, we both love alternative rock, and so we were able to capture something that had this more contemporary sound while still being a folk song, a Celtic folk rock song is probably the best way of describing it. And it just came off fantastic. Now, if you want to find you could call it a more in-depth discovery of how Bright Side of Everything was written, in show number 12 of the In the Verse podcast, that's the one I do with Mikey Mason. That's the podcast where we also watch episodes of TV shows or whatever pop culture media, and then write a song inspired by it. And each episode, usually what we'll do is we watch the show, we give a 5-minute breakdown of what happened in the episode in case you haven't seen it, and then we talk about all the little moments in the episode that were really cool. And there's a lot of them. I could probably write a dozen songs from this. In fact, I have 2 that I've already written from this. The other one being Bring Me Home Boys. But you get a bit more of an in-depth story about how the song, or what kind of ideas we were working on. And then eventually you find out how it came to be, much like this episode, but I think a bit shorter in this particular one. So in any case, go check that out. You can find that at fireflydrinkingsongs.com. Again, show number 12 of the first season. But let's listen to the recording. This is the first single from Selcouth. The album comes out again on February 14th. Here's Bright Side of Everything.
The Mona Lisa never learned to smile. He came along and made her sing. She's not posing anymore, she's dancing. You see the bright side of everything. Romantic walk along the sandy shore. The sky opens and it starts raining. You jump in puddles, we both start laughing. You see the bright side of everything. Someplace better, someplace warm, someplace alone, just you and me. We can laugh at life's uncertainty while it's happening. The bright side of everything. Gravity may make us fall. Our stomachs feel like they're turning. You say falling is a lot like flying. You see the bright side of everything. Someplace better, someplace warm, someplace alone, just you and me. We can laugh at life's uncertainty while it's happening. The bright side of everything. Night is falling, it is getting dark. You hold my hand like you hold my heart. Inside of me I feel torn apart, but you see the bright side of everything. Someplace better, someplace warm, someplace alone, just you and me. We can laugh at life's uncertainty while it's happening. The bright side of everything. Bright side of everything. Bright side of everything. Bright side of everything. Bright side of everything.
I hope you enjoyed that track, and if you did, tell a friend. Because you can now stream it. You can also add it to your streaming playlists, whatever streaming service you're on. And that helps it a lot in getting recognition and getting new plays and whatnot. And I'm doing my best I can do to spread the word. So I would really love it if you would, like it. And if you want to buy it, great. Again, the CD will be coming out next month on February 14th, and you'll be able to get it at my store, Amazon, iTunes, wherever you want. So go check that out. All right, at number 4, Amelia Hogan, who I played earlier in the show. She came in at number 4. Number 3 is Tallymoore. Tallymoore's music was featured on show number 231, Star of the County Down. Number 2 is Jesse Ferguson. He was a part of Sailor's Songs, show number 229. And of course, the number 1 song of the top 20 Celtic bands and musicians of 2021, it is the Gothard Sisters. Again, I absolutely love their music. They're just fantastic and so great to see them develop and grow. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming out in the year or two to come from them. And of course, the Gothard Sisters were featured on Wild Colonial Boys, show number 218, where they talk about their love of hobbits. Once again, I look forward to sharing more music with you next time. In 2 weeks, I'll be back with a story from Duncan McLaughlin. I look forward to sharing more with you then. I will talk to you again later. Sláinte. Pub Songs Podcast is produced by Marc Gunn. The show is edited by Mitchell Peterson with graphics by Miranda Nelson Designs. You can subscribe and listen wherever you find podcasts. You can also subscribe to my mailing list. You will get regular updates of new music, podcasts, special offers, and you'll get 21 songs for free. Welcome to the pub at pubsong.com.